You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I'm Stephen Cabral, board-certified naturopathic doctor, and today on our first house call of the weekend, we're going to get into your questions straight away. So the first question we have today is from someone called MigraineSuffer. They wrote in, for migraine relief, what is the best alternatives to using pharmaceutical drugs? So if you haven't had a migraine before, think of it as like a headache that also affects your vision, that can make you nauseous, where light affects you, that you really need to lie down. So it's a debilitating headache that almost affects your entire body. Really, really brutal. And the tough thing about migraines is this. When someone comes into my practice and they have a migraine-based issue, there's no one thing for us to look at. So what we have to do is we have to just keep asking why. Like we have to keep getting to that root cause of what it could be. Sometimes it's allergies. Sometimes it's dehydration. Sometimes it's mineral imbalance, meaning like, too little magnesium towards calcium. Sometimes there's actual biomechanical deviations, meaning like the head is too far forward over the shoulders. That's called cervical flexion. The ears don't line up over the shoulders, so there's too much weight of the head pulling back basically on these trapezius muscles that sit on top of your shoulder. So there's a lot of issues that go into it, and also toxicity-based issues. A lot of people can't deal with things like NutraSweet or Equal or aspartame and what else is it? Sucralose, like Splenda. All of those different things can actually trigger migraines in certain people. A lot of people I work with, and this is actually a big challenge for them, is when they drink alcohol, they get a migraine. And sometimes that night, sometimes really the next day. For other people, milk or gluten or wheat, chocolate's a big trigger for a lot of people. Eggs, oranges, tomato, cheese, again, types of gluten. When you think about it, though, a lot of the products that I just named are actually histamine-based foods. And this is really important. That's what I want to talk about now. If you're suffering from a lot of headaches and a lot of migraine-based issues, you're going to want to look into, is it histamine, and is it histamine-based foods that are triggering this migraine-based reaction? And because a lot of people do get well when they go on antihistamine-based products, they go on allergy-based products. And so keep in mind, the allergies aren't just in the environment, they're in our food as well. So I think it's really important to look into that. In terms of nutritional supplements, I hate to just give out any without actually looking at any lab reports for something specific like this, but most people could do really well with a serving of somewhere around 300 or so milligrams of magnesium at least before bed, since magnesium is has sedative-based properties. Great to take it afternoon or nighttime, but it can be taken all throughout the day as well. Just make sure you get enough B vitamins. You can just take a single B vitamin even in the morning if you wanted to, potentially some digestive enzymes. So that's a good place to start. Of course, you should be using probably some type of multis, some type of all-in-one, or some type of greens if the greens isn't an issue for you. Those are important. And then obviously look at your gut health as well, right? Because so much of the immune system and so many of these inflammation-based triggers, which a migraine is as well, start in the gut. And then one thing, if you do get that migraine, is to try to place an ice pack either over your eyes as you're lying down or on the back of your neck, and then put your feet in either a hot bucket of water or place a hot pack on your feet. So basically cold up on the head and then cool on the feet, and that's going to help bring some of that blood flow, that cerebral-based tension of all that blood flowing out of your head, out of your neck, and bring it back down to the lower part of the body. So give that a shot, try that out, and then also do try some magnesium citrate, ideally in powdered form. When you do get that migraine, try to close your eyes for 20 minutes or so, see if that does help. And then obviously the real crux of this is, how do we fix this so that it doesn't come back in the future? And we do this all the time in my practice, and you absolutely can do it. You don't need to live a life of suffering from migraines. So hopefully you get your answers right there and continue to look into it. Now, Stephanie B is up next. Stephanie's asking, she's on the group, and she's asking, so the Cabral support group is our online support group. and where people, basically write in, they have questions, all these great things, and we answer it right there every single day. A lot of it's about the detox, but a lot of it is just people asking in general, because you're not detoxing every day. So, what are you doing afterwards? What's the maintenance plan? So what's your favorite plan? What's your favorite recipe for smoothies? Or if someone's struggling, we try to give them support. So it's a pretty great group, and that's just right at CabralSupportGroup.com. And it's a Facebook group, so it's kind of nice, easy to use. What are some coffee alternatives, she asks. And so my big thing is that a lot of people love coffee, and if you're not really dealing with a lot of anxiety, or if you're not dealing with depression, you're not dealing with real adrenal-based issues, 1 cup of small, black, organic coffee in the morning is fine for most people. That's the time when your cortisol levels are going to be rising anyway. I typically say have it after breakfast or with breakfast, just not straight on an empty stomach, which is going to really spike that adrenaline, really spike that cortisol first thing in the morning. So a lot of people do well on that, but again, it's not necessarily a benefit because it does push those adrenal glands. It does push the fight or flight response. And if you're looking to get away from it, especially if you have anxiety, any of those things, you don't want to start your day with that, or loose stool or anything like that as well. So one thing a lot of people are getting benefit from is, I mentioned this on the podcast a while back, and it's called chaga tea. And so if you haven't listened to that episode, it would be good to tune back in, maybe review the different ones that I did recommend, and I'll see if we can link that up to you as well. We'll just have to find it in the show notes, but I believe it's podcast 188. So check that out. You'll get some brands that we recommend. And chaga tea is really a mushroom-based tea bag that you can use, or the chaga itself. The only thing why I hesitated there is that chaga doesn't look like a mushroom. It's like a growth on a tree. And believe it or not, it's actually very healthy for you. It helps boost your immune system. It helps decrease inflammation. And it has a nice, deep, dark, rich texture and look to it. And a lot of people do use that to replace coffee. So I would absolutely do try that. If you use almond milk or coconut milk, you can absolutely still add that to it. And you probably feel like you have a little bit of a latte right there, or at least a coffee with some nut milk in it. So do give that a shot. Now, a lot of other people just simply see that when they do a smoothie first thing in the morning, and that is what I recommend. So for myself, like, I wake up, I have my water, I typically put some greens powder in it, and then after that, I am making my smoothie with my all-in-one powder, and I'm usually taking a probiotic as well. That's kind of my morning routine that gets me going. It gives me everything that I need for the day. I'll talk about that more in the future. I don't want to get into it too much right now, but what a lot of people find, myself as well, is when you do that first glass of water, whether it's with lemon or whether it's with lemon and some greens powder, it starts to satiate you because your body's dehydrated. So it's looking for energy, but it's looking for hydration first and foremost. And then after that, I make a smoothie, and the smoothie gives me lots of energy with some great fresh fruit, and then obviously some protein, some good fiber. So a lot of times after that, I personally feel I don't need any more coffee, meaning like I don't need coffee because I've gotten a lot of energy from that. So, if I were you, if you just enjoy that warm cup of coffee, you could certainly do a ginger tea, which I love to do as well, with maybe a little bit of raw honey, or you could do that chaga tea with a little bit of nut milk. Try it out. See what you think about that. We've gotten great success with it. A lot of people are enjoying it. So our last question today is a fun one. We got it from Shawn H, and Shawn is asking, do you know of a good hiccup remedy? And so I just thought that this would be great to answer because I actually know a good hiccup remedy, and I don't see it listed a lot online. I didn't make it up. I certainly learned it from someone else, so I would like to share that with you right now and just kind of pay it forward. I wish I could give someone credit for this, but I don't know who it was, and it was many, many years ago. So keep in mind, the reason that we get hiccups in the first place is kind of a snapping shut of that vocal cord opening and a irritation of the vagus nerve. It's just kind of like from the gut to up in what's called the central nervous system or enteric nervous system. And what happens is that irritation can cause a spasm. And a lot of times people say, well, and again, many different causes of hiccups, but it could be anything from improper movement. It can be from chewing gum. It can be from eating your food too fast and getting air down with it. It can be from drinking carbonated beverages. It can be from getting scared, right? Because you get that shock to the nervous system as well. What else? So again, there are many different reasons. Those are the most common and not medical related ones. So I want to go over that first. I want to give you the fun treatment, and then we'll talk about the more serious one. So the one that I've used, and now, well, let me give you a few that have been proven first, that they actually studied and researched. Some people find, for whatever reason, eating a spoonful of nut butter seems to work. Other people If it's ongoing, they've used acupuncture, but let's talk about like when it happens immediately. Some people using a little bit of apple cider vinegar and water. Other people, a spoonful of sugar and just drinking that in a cup of water worked for, it says 19 out of 20 patients, which is pretty great for the research. A lot of people actually just biting down and kind of sucking on a lemon wedge has worked. Okay, so now here's what I've seen worked. And actually, it's remarkable how well this works. So what you do is if you get hiccups, I want you to sit down in a chair. And then I want someone, and you should have a glass of water in your hands. And then someone else is going to actually come up from behind you, and they're going to kind of close your ears shut. Let me tell you exactly how to do that right now. Okay, so the part of your ear that you're going to want to flap closed is called the tragus. Now, the tragus is the part of your ear that's closest to your cheekbone. So you can kind of grab it, you can kind of pull it back, almost like you might be like popping open a can of soda or something like that. Use that little thing to pull back. Well, what happens is if you push your tragus down towards your eardrum, what it does is it actually closes up for ability basically of you to be able to hear, right? So if you're trying to close your ears off from listening to other people, you can actually push this little tragus, this little piece of cartilage down into the earlobe. Obviously, you're not doing any harm. You're just pushing it closed. And I want someone to do that to you from behind, push both closed at the same time and keep them closed for about 60 seconds. And at the same time, you're going to be sipping very slowly from a cup of water. But if possible, you're going to sip from the opposite side that you typically would from that cup of water. So what you're doing is you're having your ears closed by someone's just taking their 2 index fingers, pushing that little tragus against the eardrum so it blocks it off. So you really can't hear anything. It's muffled. And then you're leaning forward over this glass of water, sipping it from the opposite side. If you can't really do that as well, drink it normally from the other side and just keep taking sips and taking sips. You might find yourself getting a couple hiccups. And then remarkably, I find most people after the 30-second to 60-second mark, their hiccups are completely gone. Again, there's debate on how this works and how it changes the diaphragm and how it calms maybe the sympathetic nervous system or the vagus nerve. But try it out, right? You have nothing to lose. It's fun. I've just seen it work over and over. And I think it's, again, just a very simple way to, when you're out, to be able to try that, because usually you can find a friend to do this, and you can usually always grab a glass of water. Now, for people who have that severe hiccups, there is actually severe hiccups, you're going to want to actually seek medical attention for someone whose hiccups last more than 24 hours or potentially 48 hours. There are actually underlying conditions, and so I don't want to make light of this, is that certain medications, alcohol, electrolyte imbalance, like with blood pressure medications, steroids, if you just went in for surgery, if you have any type of blood sugar irregularity, if you have kidney-based issues. So just keep in mind that if you are on medication, your hiccups last for more than a day, you will actually want to give your doctor a call, or you'll just want to go in and see what exactly is going on, because it can actually be an actual medical issue. Now, for most of us, most people, it's not a problem, and I just share with you, again, one fun way to be able to get rid of those hiccups. So we have more of your questions coming in tomorrow. We have 3 or 4 tomorrow, very different from today's. I look forward to sharing those answers with you then, and enjoy your weekend. I will talk to you soon.
Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.